Kinesiology Video 1, Strength and Conditioning, Kin 3073. So, my name is Jesus Hernandez. For this assignment, we made 12 different exercises with 6 different modalities for our Video 1. So, with the modalities, we'll be going over, right, it consists of the warm-up, the segments of the first exercises, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth movements. So, with our first movement, we'll be going over the warm-up, right, and then we'll start on going over with the first part of the exercise. So for each movement, I'm going to be explaining the importance of it and why I chose these specific movements for my exercises. So for our specific warm-up, we'll be conducting a scapular shoulder blade. So a scapular pull-up. So a scapular pull-up strengthens the muscles that control your shoulder blades, like the lower traps and rhomboids. This creates a more stable shoulder joint, which is essential for safe upper body training. If you're working toward a face pull-up, the exercise teaches proper mechanics, especially initiating the movement for your back instead of your arms. Scapular pull-ups are a simple but powerful exercise that target the shoulder blades rather than the arms. Instead of pulling your chin over the bar, you focus on depressing and retracting your scapula. So it also helps reduce risk of injury. Better scapular control helps prevent common shoulder issues like impingement by keeping your shoulders in a safer position during pulling and overhead movements. So this also targets the lower trapezius, rhomboids, and latissimus dorsi. Now we'll be performing the scapular pull-up. So what you'll like to do is reach over the bar, make sure that you're bar arm shoulder width apart, and you're just simply pulling your scapula together without pulling all the way up your chin over the bar. So it's just like in the movement here, right? You're just gonna be targeting those lats. Right, make sure you keep at a stable joint and finishing off. So with this movement, we'll be doing one set of 10 repetitions for this exercise. Now for our second movement for the warm-up of the specific warm-up, we will be doing arm circles forward and backwards. Arm circles might look simple, but they're actually very effective, especially for warming up and maintaining shoulder health. So arm circles take your shoulder joint through a full range of motion, helping keep it flexible, reducing stiffness. This will help increase blood flow in the shoulder joints and muscles around your shoulders and arms, which prepares your body for workouts and reduces injury risk. So it also improves shoulder stabilizers such as triceps and deltoids and rotator cuffs. So this will be really efficient with their movements. So as we're doing our arm circles, we're going to do small light circles going forward, right? So just like the way here, and then we're going to be going backwards. We'll be doing 30 seconds each side. So whenever we're done, right, you can go ahead and finish off, and then you can continue doing more reps. For the last movement for our specific warm-up, we'll be doing toe touches, but we'll be doing them with a dynamic stretch of warm-up. So toe touches stretch the hamstrings, calves, and lower back, helping increase overall flexibility, especially whenever we sit. So this will improve our immobility, it will improve our range of motion in our hips and our spine, which carries over to movements like squats and deadlifts. So if we have tight hamstrings, right, we'll be able to relieve those tighter muscles, right, whenever we start doing our hamstring touches. So whenever we be doing our toe touches, as we're coming here forward, right, we want to have our feet close together, right? It does not closer than shoulder width apart. Just like myself, I have my feet just slightly a little more outwards and touching together. All right, we're going to be holding our positions, right, just for 15 seconds, and we'll be coming straight back up, right, and keep repeatedly doing these movements, right, just until we get all reps. So for this exercise, we have 2 minutes or 30 seconds. So after every 30 seconds, we will be coming up, backing up and down, right, for a total of 2 minutes. You want to make sure you come nice and slowly, reaching farther every single time after every single rep. So this will be conducting our specific warm-up, and I'll be moving to our general. So I want to apologize. So these will now be doing our specific warm-up. So our last movement was for our general. Now we'll be moving to our specific. So for our first movement, we're going to go ahead and be doing body weight squats. So body weight squats are very essential for warming up our lower body muscles. So body weight squats working on specifically the quadriceps, our gluteus maximus and medius, and our hamstring muscles. So whenever we be doing our body weight squats, we're gonna be doing it for a total of 12 repetitions for one set. So as we're gonna be doing the body weight squats, it's very important that we keep our shoulders width apart and our body as straight upright as much as we can. So now we're gonna be doing the movement. My arms are across each other. Try to have our hips pass parallel to our knees or even lower. I only did 3 repetitions just to demonstrate the movement, but we will be doing a total of 12 reps. So now we'll be moving into our light walk and jog, or we'll be moving to our warm up with the Stairmaster. So the Stairmaster is very essential when it comes to working with specific movements in our lower body, right? So it'll be really opening up our legs. So the treadmill has better beneficials with any cardiorespiratory exercise movements. So with our movement, we're going to be doing a total of 2 minutes. So I did 2 minutes with this. No. Using a Stairmaster as a warm-up is actually one of the best ways to get your body ready for work, especially for lower body or cardio sessions. So the benefits is it gradually raises our heart rate. It slowly increases our heart rate, preparing for your cardiovascular system for more intense exercise without shocking your body. So the muscles that the Stairmaster focuses mostly on is going to be the glutes, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, and the gastrocnemius muscles, which will be our calves. So it improves blood flow. More circulation for our muscle means get more oxygen and nutrients, which improves performance and reduces injury risk. The repetitive stepping motion also warms up our knees, hips, and ankles. So this helps loosen stiffness and improve our movement quality. So for the movement here, what I did for my warm up, we will be going ahead and be doing a interval between every 30 seconds. Right, we'll be gradually increasing our rest step rate, right, to by the system level. So I first started off with 4, and then every 30 seconds I increased it to 5, and then to 6. So lastly, we should be ending off at level number 6, which is basically at a 50 to 65% RPE. So we're still able to speak to anybody else. We're not fully putting a lot of effort into our body, as like this is a warm-up. So it's very important that we stay within this rep range. So it's also very important that we do not try to keep our hands to ourselves and not touching any outside of the handles, just so we can get the most benefit of our exercise. So as we stop here, now we'll be getting into the actual exercise and movements of our workout. For modality number 1, we'll be doing pull-ups. So with these pull-ups, we have 3 different sets, all 3 different types of same exercise, just different small changes with the movements, right? So with our first set, it will be our easy set. We're going to be go ahead and doing a pull-up with the band. So with the band, you're going to go ahead and have a pronated grip, shoulder width apart, hand placement, assist with the band for 10 repetitions. So with the band, you're going to go ahead and pull it down, just right on knee length. So whenever you're going to grab the bar, we're going to have our hands outside shoulder width apart, right? Just slightly out or exactly shoulder width apart. So we're going to go ahead and just now release all the weight and now pull it up with our band. We're going to be going ahead and doing this move for 10 repetitions, nice and slowly. You want to make sure you have your chin over the bar, right? Or just like your nose slightly over. So that'll be conducting our first set. Now moving to our second set, we're going to be going ahead and be doing the body weight pull-up. Right now it's going to be without the band. So it's going to be a pronated grip, shoulder width apart, right? So we're going to go ahead and make sure put your hands right over each other, just the way we did it with the band. And we're going to have no assistance. So whenever we're going to get ready for it, we're going to go ahead and just release our body weight. Go ahead and hang up down, have our chin over the bar, pull ourselves nice and slowly, right? Slow, controlled movement every single rep. So with this, a total amount of reps, we're going to be doing a total of 8. Right now, we're going to be getting into the third set of the. Now, moving to our last set, it's going to be with the same pull-up variation. Now, it's going to be our hardest set. Now, we're going to be going and be doing with the 3-second eccentric tempo. So, with this movement, we're going to go ahead and really target the eccentric part, where it's going to have a lot more resistance. It's going to make the exercise a lot more difficult for our movement. So, whenever we're pulling up, we're going to go ahead and hold there and bring our body down for 3 seconds, going up. 1, 2, 3, up. As you see, I'm kind of struggling a little bit here, but we're going to go ahead and now move into our body weight movement, or barbell movements. So for our lower body barbell movements, we're going to go ahead and be doing a barbell squat. Okay, so for our first movement, we're going to be going to be doing our first modality, right? Is going to be doing barbell back squat. So we have a total of three set variations. So for our first set of variations, we'll be doing lightweight high bar position back squat for 12 repetitions. So the importance of back squat, right? It's going to go ahead and improve muscle it's going to be including our muscle hypertrophy and our quadriceps, glutes, and hamstrings. So it also increases muscle mass because squats recruit multiple large muscle groups. They're excellent for overall muscle growth, especially in the lower body, just how I stated before. It also is very good for core strength. So our cores and our abdominal muscles are being used as we use them to stabilize the bar and keep our torso upright, leading to stronger overall stability. So for our first set, we're going to get the bar. Make sure we put the bar over our trapezius, and we're going to squat down and make sure we have our hips past our knees, right? Trying to keep our feet shoulder width apart. Let's try to keep at least minimal heel elevation as much as we can, just like myself here, right? Now we're going to be going and moving into our second set of the movement, right? So with our second set, we're going to be going in a little bit more moderate rate. So here we have 225 on the bar, right? It's going to be controlled tempo, just controlling the weight more or less. And we're going to be doing it for a total of 10 repetitions. So with the movement here, we're going to go ahead and say same thing, high bar position. All right, make sure we unrack the bar nice and safely. Move back here, shoulder width apart. Going to come down here, target back up slowly. We're going to want to have our hips past our knees, full range of motion. And once we're done with the two sets, full 10 repetitions, then we'll be moving on to our last, third, and final set of the barbell back squat. So for the barbell back squat, we're going to be doing with heavier weight, but now we're going to have a 2-second pause at the bottom position for a total of 6 repetitions. So it's very crucial here. I actually did a lower bar back squat position. So you're going to have the bar lower down on your trapezius. All right, once you rack, same position, shoulder width apart. We're going to go ahead and just push the bar get down as low as we can. Hips passing our knees. Nice and slow. 2-second pause at the bottom, back up. Right? That will be conducting our lower body exercise for the barbell back squat. Now we're going to be going ahead and be going over the upper body barbell movement, and then that'll be concluding our first modality of the workout. Now we're going to be going over the first movement of the barbell exercise. So it's gonna be the upper body version. Now we're gonna be doing for our exercise gonna be the barbell bench press, which is a compound upper body exercise focused on horizontal pushing, involving coordinated movement at the shoulder blade, glenohumeral joint, elbow, and scapulothoracic articulation. So with the movement benefits, it's going to be working on primary movers. The primary movers is going to be the pectoralis major, and it's going to be working on the sternal and clavicular heads, horizontal abduction of the shoulder, and the triceps bracket for elbow extension, and anterior deltoid assist in shoulder flexion and horizontal abduction. So with the stabilizer muscles, it will be the rotator cuff muscles, and it will be stabilizing the humeral head in the glenofossea, rhomboids, and middle trapezius for scapular retraction, and erector spinae and recor muscles to maintain spinal stability and arch. So now we'll be going over the first set of movements. So what we want to do is make sure that we do place ourselves at a very good rate here. So with the shoulder movement exercises, right, we're going to be go ahead and be doing is unlift the bar, have the hands over the ridges, right, our pinky specifically over the ridges. So we're going to go ahead and be doing our little first movement there. Press. Up and down. Press. Nice and easy slow movement. And press. Right. And up, down. Press. So that's what we're going to be conducting for our movement exercises for this set. So very nice and easy movement. Touching down all the way down to the chest and pressing over our chest and racking back up. Now moving to our second set, what we're going to be going to be doing is moderate weight for a shoulder width apart grip for 10 repetitions. So as we see here, we're going to go ahead and bring the bar over our chest. Make sure you have our shoulder abduction here, and press fully up. Right here, we have no pauses, no everything. It's just gonna be shoulder with just heavier weight. That's all we're gonna be go ahead and be doing is just changing the intensity of the workout, so we can go ahead and move now. We can go ahead and move into our third and final set of the upper body barbell movement. So what we also did is gonna be go ahead and be changing away from 225 to 275, right? So it's gonna be heavier weight with a 2-second pause at the bottom for 2-second pauses. Okay, so same positioning here, making sure we have our fingers over the ridges. Right, we're gonna go ahead and bring the bar over our chest, and then we bring the bar at the bottom until we hit our chest, and we press back up for 1 second. Hold it here for 2, 1, 2, press. Right, so what this is gonna be go ahead and doing is gonna be going ahead and increasing our power in our. So I want to go ahead and quickly discuss the importance of pause reps for the barbell bench press. It's one of the most effective ways to build strength and control for proper mechanics, especially for an anatomical performance standpoint. So a pause rep is whenever you hold the chest up, hold the bar at the bottom for 1 to 3 seconds, and press back up, eliminating momentum and forcing pure muscular effort. So this is very important for powerlifters or strength lifters who want to build their upper body strength without having using any other body parts that comes in the exercise. Now we move into our cable exercises. So with our first movement, we'll be go ahead and be doing is a V grip cable row, right? So it's gonna be a neutral grip row for our first set, and it's gonna be a compound pulley movement emphasizing scapular retraction and shoulder extension with a stable joint friendly grip. So that's why we pick. Go ahead and pick the V grip for our first set because we're gonna we're gonna be really focusing on scapular retraction. And the primary movers for this movement is going to be the latissimus dorsi for shoulder extension and abduction, the rhomboids for major and minor scapular retraction, and middle trapezius for scapular retraction. So for our stabilizer muscles, the erector spinae maintains spinal extension or the neutral spine, the transverse abdominis and obliques, trunk stability and intra-abdominal pressure. Rotator cuff muscles stabilize the glenohumeral joint, and serratus anterior controls the scapular movement during proactive and retraction. So the joint and performance benefits for this movement is going to be improves scapulotheteric rhythm, coordination between scapular and the humerus, strengthens the posterior chain of the upper body and especially in the mid back. So we're going to go ahead and move over to the movement. So in just a few seconds, we're going to go ahead and see just how setting up, right? Just like in the red seat here. So we're going to go ahead and just like walk forward to the V grip. We had for this exercise, we had at least like light weight or moderate weight for good resistance for the back. So we're going to go ahead and pull the V grip, neutral grip. We're going to pull this lean a little bit forward and pull and retract our spine backwards, right? And pull the grip towards our abdominal section of our body, right below underneath our chest, and keep that tightness interior in our movements. And we're going to go ahead and do this movement for about 12 repetitions for this movement. So after every rep, you'll notice the difficulty based on the resistance starts to get increasingly more difficult. So it's also very important that we do our 12 repetitions just so we can build our hypertrophy and build that muscle tension in our upper body. Now moving to our second set, we're going to be going over the single arm cable row, right? With this move, it's going to be one of the best exercises for building a balanced, strong back while also improving core stability and posture. So the benefits of a single arm cable row, it fixes muscle imbalances, training with one arm that helps correct differences between sides, right? And then with the what's going to be focusing on, right, the primary move will be the latissimus dorsi for shoulder extension and abduction, and the rhomboids for scapular retraction, and the middle trapezius for which is going to be stabilizing our scapula, right? So with this movement, it's going to go ahead and focus on the points of the mind muscle connections. Easier to focus on the working side, especially the latissimus dorsi and the middle back, right? It's going to help you improve with scapular movement. It's also going to help, like I said, build core stability in our torso for resist rotation, and it activates the obliques and deep core muscles for great anti-rotation strength. So with this movement, we're going to go ahead and also be focused on functional strength, mimics real-life pulling patterns like opening doors and carrying objects. So now we're going to be going and be setting up for this movement. Is now we're going to go ahead and grab the arm with a single arm. First, we're going to start off with our right arm. We're going to go ahead and hinge a little bit forward and pull, right, all the way our elbow passing our lat. So whenever we stabilize ourselves, we're going to have 1 foot on the platform and 1 foot down on the ground. Or just like here, we want to be able to get to reach as much as far as we can, right? Keep that constant tension, right, by not pulling all the way forward, right, and not pulling the weight all the way down. So with this movement, we're going to be go ahead and be doing alternating reps. We're going to be doing 12 reps on one arm, and then we're going to move over to 12 reps on the other arm. So just like here, right, you want to be able to pull all the way back, retract our scapula, and bring our elbow past our lats, and keep that constant tension on our lats, and keep going, pulling forward, all the way forward, pull. There you can see. Just like in this movement, it's going to be really good for building those muscles in the lats and our scap, right, and build that posterior chain. So once we get all 12 reps, we're going to be finishing off, and that will be concluding our second set for the cable movement. Now moving to our third and final set for the upper body cable movement, we're going to be going and doing is a straight bar cable row. Perform as a seated cable machine with a straight bar, just very equivalent, is a powerful combat pulling exercise that emphasizes symmetrical back development and strong scapular mechanics. So with the benefits of this exercise, it balances bilateral strength, both arms are being worked together, and promotes even force production, easier to progressively overload compared to single arm variation exercises. So just like before we did the single arm, now we're going to be doing with the straight bar, we're going to be pulling with both arms together to be instead of being like a bilateral movement. So this is going to be creating mid-back activation, strong emphasis on the rhomboids and middle trapezius, which helps build thickness through the upper and mid-back. So with this movement, it also helps improve posture, reinforces scapular retraction, counters and rounded shoulders, and supports thoracic extension for the upright chest movement. So it's going to be a controlled movement with this exercise. So it helps. It's very important that we build constant tension through the full range of motion, and it's easier to maintain technique versus free weights. So as we're going to be getting started with the movement, so it's very important that whenever we set up, we're going to go and have our hands right over the ridges on the straight bar. So we're going to go ahead and put both our feet on the platform, grab the bar first correctly, and making sure that our both arms are evenly same full range, or like shoulder width slightly out shoulder width apart. So with this, we're going to go ahead and pull. All right, keeping that constant tension through the eccentric movement, right, and have a slight forward hinge on our hips, right, so we can create more forward range of motion, especially for those who are a little bit tired like myself. So we want to get the most out of the movement. As we're pulling towards our basically under our chest, right, just underneath our sternum, and pulling there. Pull and keep pulling, trying to keep that tension. And once we're done, that will be concluding our upper body cable movements and our sets. So now we're going to be go ahead and get started with our lower body cable movements or chain movements. So the bell skull Romanian deadlifts with a straight bar is a unique hinge variation that combines hip dominant mechanics of an RDL with low distribution of a bell squat, reducing spinal stress while still heavily training the posterior chain. So I'm going to be going ahead and using a little bit more time to explain this movement and the more or less of the form, how to do it, because it is a confusing movement exercise. So it does have a chain that is equipped to a machine, or an open chain machine that is very similar to like a cable. So with this movement, it's going to be reducing spinal loading. Load is attached to the pelvis with the belt, via belt, not the shoulders, minimizing axial compression on the spine compared to barbell RDLs. So it has really strong posterior chain activation, specifically the gluteus maximus and hamstrings, the semimedius and bicep femoris, that maintains true hip hinge mechanics. So with this movement, right, the primary mover, for the stabilizer muscles are very important. It's going to be for the core musculature and maintains intra-abdominal pressure. Latimus dorsi stabilizes the torso, specifically the thoracomalar fascia, and forearms and grip control the straight bar. So with the movement, you're going to attach the belt to the cable or bell squat machine, hold a straight bar with the right, like hands just like right, shoulder width apart, and hold the feet hip width apart as well, toes slightly externally rotated, and this is going to establish neutral spine, lumbar, dorsal, and thoracic extension. So right, for the starting position, right, we're going to go ahead and walk up to the platform, go ahead and grab the bar like shoulder width apart here, very similar to like a barbell RDO or cable RDO. You're going to hinge your hips as far back as you can, right? Get comfortable, push your hips out, and come back straight. You're going to have your hips push fully back, staying fully extended, right? Having a slight knee bend, right? And keeping your spine nice and tucked, right? Keeping your chin nice and tucked in, right? Without preventing any excessive protraction movement in our spine, our upper body. So with this move, we're going to go ahead and do 12 repetitions with light weight, right? Just so we can go ahead and start getting used to that movement with the first set. Just slightly slowing down here. And then once we're done, we're with this movement. We're going to go ahead and place the bar back down just the way we grabbed it. And then we're going to go ahead and move on to the second set of the exercises. So with the second set, we're going to go into moderate weight. So from 25 pounds, we went up to 45 pounds. Just like the way we did in the first set, we're going to go ahead and just walk up the same way you did in the first set. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the bar, right, shoulder width apart, right. We're going to keep our spine nice and neutral, hips fully extended back. And then we're going to go ahead and push our hips back forward, back into the full extension. Flexion at extension. So we're going to go here. Flexion into extension with our hips. So with this movement, we're going to go ahead and do 10 repetitions for this set. And keep it nice and controlled, eccentric tempo. And then we're going to go ahead and drop the repetitions down to 10 reps with this movement. So once we're fully done, we're going to go ahead and place the back the way we got it right here. And then now we're going to go ahead and moving forward to our last and third set of the cable movement / machine. So for our last movement, we're going to go ahead and just walk up here. Right now, we're going to be just increasing the weight slightly heavier. Now it's from 45 pounds. We're going to be go ahead and be doing 90 pounds total for our movement. So for our last set, what we're going to go ahead and do is keep going here. Nice and good slow movements. Good. Just there you can see. Now we're keeping the constant tension with the heavier weight. As you can see, I'm a little bit struggling, so it's very important that we keep our grip strength nice and firm, nice and good and firm. Same movements there. We're dropping down to 8 repetitions for this last heavy movement. That will be concluding our lower body cable movement. Now we're going to go ahead and move into our dumbbell exercises. Now we're going to be going to move into our dumbbell movements. So for our first dumbbell upper body movement is going to be go ahead and be doing is the dumbbell curls. So we've broken this exercise into 3 different sets. So the only differences between every set is the last set is going to be a hammer curl, which is a variation of a bicep curl, just not focusing on the forearms. So I want to use this time to go ahead and go over the body mechanics and benefits of the bicep curl. So with the bicep curl, with the dumbbells, it's going to be an open chain movement that's going to be focusing on the bicep brachii, right, and the biceps of the movement and the brachialis of the biceps. So it's going to be targeting. This is really helpful for a hypertension and building lean muscle tissue in the bicep and arms. So with the primary movers, the bicep brachii and brachialis. So with this movement, we're going to go ahead and for the first set, we're going to go ahead and have our weights right outside our shoulders, right, lean against. We're going to have horizontally out, away from your body. So we're going to go ahead and move it and bring the biceps, move the dumbbells up to the biceps here, and a supinated grip for the first set. So we're going to be doing a total of 12 repetitions for this exercise, right? Now we're going to go ahead and move into the second set, just like very similar to the first set. We're going to go ahead and be doing is it'll be an alternating bicep curl, right? So once we start here, we're going to go ahead and just alternate here, bring in into a neutral position to a supinated position, And we're going to be doing 10 repetitions per arm. So that means you're going to be doing alternating, being one, right, all the way till we get 20 total reps or 10 repetitions per arm. Now moving to our last set of the dumbbell upper body movement, which is going to be our bicep curls. It's going to be the hammer curl. Just like in a variation of a bicep curl, now we're going to be having our grip at a neutral position, right? So both dumbbells are facing each other. And with this movement, we're going to go ahead and do it as a 3-second eccentric tempo coming down. As we see here, we're going to go ahead and hold the weight nice and slowly back up and coming down to a 3-second eccentric part of the movement. So this move is going to go ahead and focus more on the brachialis of the bicep instead of more on the bicep brachii. So with this move, we're going to be doing 8 reps at a heavier weight, with 40 going from 30 to 35 to 40 pounds. Now we're going to be going ahead and doing 8 reps per arm or 16 total reps of the movement. All right, now we're going to be going to move into our lower body dumbbell movement, which is going to be the front rack dumbbell squat. So with this movement, it has a lot of benefits such as enhanced quadriceps development and knee extension mechanics. The interior load increases the knee flexion angle during the eccentric phase, and requires greater knee extension torque during the concentric phase. So it leads to higher division of quadriceps femoris and vastus lateralis medialis and intermedius erectus femoris. Right, it also has improved strength and hypertrophy in the primary knee extensors. So with this movement, right, it's also going to be promoting thoracic extension. Holding dumbbells in the front position, it requires isometric contraction between the thoracic erector spinae, upper trapezius, and rhomboids. So it's essentially like a full body movement, right? So this is why it's very important that we must do this movement correctly as we go. So now, as we're going to be going ahead and doing the movement, so we're going to have the dumbbells flat on the mat, just the way they are here. So whenever we're going to be going, I'm going to get the movement as we're going to be getting here. We're going to go ahead and grab both dumbbells, reach them over our shoulders. You can put them laying. You can actually have them rested on our shoulders, just right here in the front rack position. So it's like very similar to doing like a front squat, but now with the dumbbells. You're going to have to go ahead and try to get full range of motion by having your hips past our knees, right? And have our feet shoulder width apart. I know I'm not going a little bit lower. And as we are doing it, we're going to try to go a little bit lower per set or per rep, so we can try to build and get that full range of motion. So for this exercise, I go ahead for this first set. We're going to be going ahead and be doing 12 repetitions, right, with both arm for lightweight. So as we try to get all 12 reps, we're going to go ahead and now move into our second set, which is going to be same variation of the movement, right, but just now with the 3-second eccentric tempo for 10 repetitions. Just the way we have it here. So you see, we're going to be able to control the weight coming down into the eccentric position. As I'm here having a really hard time controlling my body, which shows the lack of stability in my upper body, and also hip strength and lower body stability as well. So for this movement, we're going to have to do 10 repetitions. And after following, we're going to be going and doing the third set at the end of this clip. So moving into our last set, it's going to be heavier weight with a 2-second pause at the bottom. So with this movement, just for demonstration, I just kept it the same weight. So you do like to go heavier just for those last, the sake of those last set, right? For more intensity, right? The higher intensity to lower the repetitions. We're going to get to the bottom position, right? And hold it for 2 seconds. And press back up. You really want to focus on every rep is holding that bottom position. So this movement, like I said, is going to go ahead and really focus on the lower body force production, which promotes the coordinated hip and the extension and reduces over dominance of posterior chin compared to hinge movements. So this will be concluding our dumbbell exercises, and now we'll be moving to our kettlebell movements. Now moving to our kettlebell movements, for the first for our first movement, which is going to be for the upper body, is going to be the kettlebell overhead press. And with this move is going to be focusing on joint action and muscular rolls and stabilization for our shoulders. So it has shoulder flexion, abduction strength, or glenohumeral strength, or specifically the glenohumeral joint. So this involves shoulder flexion as we're raising the arm forward and upward, and shoulder abductions, which will be slight lateral movement depending on the path of the movement that we do going up. So the primary movers of this exercise would be the anterior deltoid for when it comes to shoulder flexion, and the middle deltoid or the lateral deltoid for shoulder abduction. So for enhanced rotator cuff stabilization that's required for this movement is whenever the kettlebell's offset center of mass creates instability, requires co-contraction of the rotator cuff muscles. So for specifically the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, the teres minor, and the So whenever we're setting up for this movement, we're going to have really light weight for this exercise. We're going to have it in a neutral grip. So that means both hands are going to be facing each other whenever we start the position of this movement. Just the way I have it here. Make sure to have our elbows nice and tucked in into our lat and pressing forwardly up. Or try to keep. It's going to require a lot of core stability whenever we're pressing, because we're not having any type of movement, keeping ourselves back with no seat behind us. So with the first set, we're going to be doing 12 repetitions right together or bilaterally and pressing up. See here, bringing the kettlebells nicely all the way down to our shoulders. Now we're going to be going to move into our second set, which is going to be the interior, it's going to be single arm overhead shoulder press. So now we're going to be go ahead and doing a single arm overhead kettlebell press. So I just want to take this time to go over the differences between the single arm and the bilateral movement when we do both arms together for the kettlebell overhead press. So with this movement, it's going to be a unilateral loading, right, for the joint mechanics and muscular demands. So this will also increase glenohumeral joint stability. Now that we have an offset center of mass creates multi-directional instability, requires continuous co-contraction of the rotator cuff compared to doing it whenever we do it for both arms together. So we have greater deltoid activation for the unilateral force production, which includes shoulder flexion, shoulder abduction. So because one arm is working, higher neural drive to that limb result in improved strength and hypertrophy of the pressing shoulder. So it's also control scapular upper rotation and control, which requires coordinated thoracic motion in the upper rotation, posterior tilt, and external rotation. So whenever we're getting set up, we're going to have both standing. He's going to be standing. So we're going to be going alternating, right, one arm at a time. So we're going to be going and doing 10 reps total right here, right? So one after we have so instead of doing it with neutral grip, right, we're going to be doing a pronated grip, as both hands are now facing the wall, or have both my palm of my hand is facing forward. So here we're going to have just keep going, pressing and alternating press. I'll be concluding this explanation for the second set as I let it play, and now we'll be going and moving into the third and final set of the upper body movement. For the third and final set is going to be standing single arm heavy kettlebell 3-second eccentric tempo kettlebell overhead press. So we're in the same position here. Now the grip is still going to be pronated as the second set before. So we're going to go ahead and bring the kettlebells nice and upward, right, just like a brevity on the side. And now we're going to be go ahead and be doing it is a 3-second eccentric tempo alternating overhead kettlebell press. because it's going to require a lot of stability in our shoulder glenohumeral joints. So it's very important that we keep our core stability nice and tight. It's going to be really focusing on abdominal muscles, contracting all the way up and down. So this will be concluding the last exercise, the last set of the upper body movement, and we'll be moving forward to the lower body kettlebell exercise. So now moving to our lower body exercise is going to be the kettlebell Romanian deadlifts. So with this movement, we're going to be go ahead and focusing on the both together. So this will be also be known as the suitcase kettlebell Romanian deadlift. And we're also going to be doing the single leg Romanian deadlift with the kettlebell. So with the first set, we're going to go ahead and be doing is the suitcase or together, right? As we're going to be doing both kettlebells together. So it's going to be focused on posterior chain development, hip extension mechanics, which is going to be primarily the joint action of the hip extension, with the main muscles being worked on the gluteus maximus, which is going to be the primary hip extensor, and the hamstring to assist hip extension and control knee position, which is going to result in increased strength and hypertrophy in the posterior chain. So whenever we're doing eccentric hamstring loading during the eccentric part of the movement, hamstrings undergo lengthening under tension or eccentric contraction occurs as hip moves into flexion and knees remain slightly flexed. So this will be improving hamstring strength and flexibility and injury resilience. So as we're going to be going here, we're going to walk up. We're going to go ahead and grab both kettlebells, making sure that both kettlebells are slightly outside of our feet or horizontal. And then we're going to go ahead and do nice and slow movement, coming down, making sure that both kettlebells touch the ground, having full hip extended, full flexion and extension. Okay? So, let's see, you're going to come here. We still have to do a total of 12 reps. So as we finish the both 12 reps, we're going to go ahead and move into the second set of the exercise, which is going to be a moderate weight of the kettlebell with a slow eccentric and for 3 seconds tempo. So with the 3 seconds coming down here, it's going to be for the same exact form and positioning. So you're going to have the kettlebell slightly outside of our feet. So it's going to be a total of 10 repetitions. So the only difference is going to be a 3 second eccentric slow tempo. So as we're doing it here, nice and slow for 3 seconds, coming down all the way to the bottom position, making sure that both kettlebells touch the ground and come straight back up. So with the importance of this movement with the 3 second eccentric tempo is it requires isometric stabilization from the erector spinae without excessive spinal loading, results safe alternative to heavy barbell hinges while still effect. So you have the core stabilization would be anti-flexion, so gravity creates a forward flexion movement of the torso, and the core muscles must resist for lumbar flexion, and this is going to be including the transverse abdominis muscles, the erectors abdominis, and the obliques. So I just want to go ahead and quickly explain before we get into the last set is the difference between the single arm and dual kettlebell RDL for this. So we can explain the benefits and differences between each movement. So for the last set, it's going to be the single arm kettlebell RDL, right? So it's going to be focusing on how load distribution changes between the joint mechanics, muscle activation, and stabilization demands. So it's going to be how the key beneficial effects between this is going to be anti-rotation core activation, which will be load one side recreates rotational torque on the spine, and core must resist transverse planes rotation. So the primary stabilizer muscles will be the internal and external obliques and the transverse abdominis, which will also improve rotational stability and spinal control. And they have anti-lateral flexion between the frontal plane stability, which the asymmetrical load creates a lateral flexion movement, and spine must resist side bending. So with this movement, is we're going to have also increased glute medius activation to maintain pelvic alignment. The stance selected must resist pelvic drop or contralateral hip drop, And the muscles involved will be the gluteus medius, hip abduction, and stabilization, which will improve pelvic stability and hip control. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna have a split stance position, right? And with this, you want to have her go ahead and hinge your hips as much as you can, or push your hips forwardly back, or flex. You can go to a hip extension, and then you come back into a flexion position here. And with this movement, we're gonna have one arm at a time, right? So we're gonna go ahead and do 6 reps per leg. So we're gonna do 6 on your front foot back, and then we're going to rotate and do 6 on the opposite foot. Same positioning here. We're going to go ahead and have into a split stance position and hinge your hips as much as you can. Keep your spine nice and contracted without having a lot of protraction on our shoulder joints. So just want to quickly explain the importance of the cool down segment of the workout, because it's going to give us more an overview of why these exercises were chosen and why it's very important that we must be conducting a cool down whenever programming a workout. So it's very important that we do the cool downs because it helps your body transition from a high demand state back to normal by affecting the muscle, joints, cardiovascular system, and nervous system at an anatomical and physiological level. So one of the reasons is the restoration of muscle length tension relationship. So during exercise, muscles repeatedly contract and remain in a shortened state, or for example, quadriceps after squats or hamstrings after hinges, which will be cooled down. Stretching promotes muscle lengthening and resets the length tension relationship. So muscles can return closer to optimal resting length and reduces stiffness and improves future force production of the workout. It also be reduction of muscle tone and via neutral mechanisms, which would be such as exercise increases muscle spasm activity, hiding contraction readiness, or static stretching activates the Golgi tendon organs, which can inhibit excessive muscle contraction and promote relaxation of the movement. So with the first movement chosen, I chose the standing hamstring stretch, which would be 20 seconds per leg for 5 reps. So with this movement, is going to target mostly a hip flexion where femur moves forward toward the torso, knee extension where the tibia straightens, and ankle dorsiflexion when toes are pulled forward whenever included. So here I don't really pull them, I just have them just touching. So this would be the primary stretch of the hamstring, the bicep femoris, and the seminitis and the semium membraneus. If I'm saying that correctly. And what this movement is going to be very important because it's going to be hamstrings are going to be shortened and the contracted straight. So with the stretching is going to be improving future force production and flexibility and restore optimal sacroiliac length tension relationship. So after every position, right, whenever we're reaching, we're going to go ahead and keep one foot nice and fully straight or lengthened. So whenever we're reaching for our toes, right, we're going to try to reach as far as we could by pulling our be into a dorsiflexion, or by pulling our toes back, or just touching the top of our toes. So here you can see that my back is fully protracted, right, by keeping my other leg, foot in the split stance position, by keeping the other leg nice, having a slight knee bent. So we're going to go ahead and try to reach as far as we could after every single rep, right? So with this movement, it also decrease passive muscle stiffness and reduces resistance in muscle tendon unit and improves elasticity in the tendons and fascial tissues. Now moving to our second exercise is going to be the quadricep stretch for 30 seconds per leg for 5 reps. So with this movement, it's going to help improve knee flexion as the heel moves towards the glutes, and hip extension when thigh moves posteriorly. So with this movement, it's also going to be working on stability. So as I see on my side, you can see I'm slightly moving a little bit all over the place because the stability of my lower extremities is not the greatest. So, and with this stretch, can be primarily working on the quadriceps, which include the muscles of the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vastus medius, and the vastus intermedius. So the benefits of this exercise, of this movement, is going to be the lengthening the biarticular muscle or the rectus femoris whenever the rectus femoris is stretched at both the hip, whenever it's in extension, and knee flexion, which will also improve the mobility across two joints simultaneously. This is also going to help with anterior chain recovery, which counteracts shortening form the squats, lunges, or running, and which restore a balance between anterior and posterior musculature. So this movement is going to be really helping whenever we have a lot of tightness, especially after the lower leg movements. And then that will be conducted after the whole workout. So now we're going to be going over the third and last exercise of the cool down. Now for our last movement, it's going to be the child pose stretch. So it's going to be for 40 to 30 to 60 seconds for 3 reps. So with this movement is going to be joining for spinal flexion, especially the thoracic and lumbar spine, and hip flexion. And also shoulder flexion when the arms are extended forward, this way here. So I have very poor stretch of mobility in my hips. So my range of motion during this exercise is not even the greatest whatsoever. So with this stretch, it's going to help me right stretch the erector spinae and the spinal extensors, the latissimus dorsi, and posterior deltoid. The secondary muscles worked on this movement is going to be the gluteus maximus and triceps. And with the benefits of this movement is going to have promotes separation between the vertebrae and reduces compressive forces on intervertebral discs, and beneficial after axial loading such as squats, RDLs, and pressing, which are all movements that have been worked during this workout today. So whenever moving here, it's going to be important that we have targets that posterior superficial line, right, which improves integration between back, glutes, and hamstrings.